Welcome back. Today, we need to talk about a deeply insidious trend I'm seeing more and more in my office. It's what I call the weaponization of therapy speak. We live in an era where mental health awareness is at an all time high. People know what boundaries, trauma responses, and gaslighting mean, which in and of itself is a wonderful thing. But unfortunately, there's a highly sophisticated manipulator using these terms out there for not their own self reflection, but as a weapon. If you are new to my channel, I want to introduce myself. I'm Barbara Duchnowski, and I've spent my career working as an LCS EMDR therapist, an advanced clinical hypnotherapist, and a clinician specializing in the treatment of narcissistic abuse recovery. But beyond those credentials and those letters after my name, there is something you should know about me. I am also a survivor. I have sat in the exact seat you are sitting in right now. I know the dizzying, exhausting confusion of trying to love someone who uses your own mind against you. It's really quite boggling. If you have ever walked away from an argument feeling completely destabilized, confused, not knowing what just happened, and somehow convinced that your pain is a clinical violation of their peace, you are not crazy. This video is for you. Now, let's dissect the anatomy of this particular behavior. In a standard toxic relationship, an unevolved abuser might just tell you to, well, shut up or call you names. But the therapy speak manipulator is much more clever. They use the vocabulary of healing to maintain dominance. They wrap control in the language of, well, enlightenment. Let's look at two specific phrases that are likely being used to gaslight you right now. One, you expressing your pain is crossing my boundaries. Well, let's look at the clinical reality of that. Let's correct the psychology here. A boundary is a personal rule for self preservation. So, for example, if you yell at me, I will leave the room. That's a boundary. A boundary dictates what I will do. It is not a tool to prevent another person from expressing their feelings or asking for clarity or calling out bad behavior. When someone uses the word boundaries to silence your attempts at accountability, that is not self care. It's a veto power over your voice. The second phrase, you are projecting your trauma onto me. Well, the clinical reality is, as an EMDR therapist, I deal with trauma processing every single day. And while projection is a real psychological defense mechanism, modern manipulators use it to completely invalidate objective reality. By labeling your valid, normal reaction to their mistreatment as a trauma response or a projection, they successfully shift the spotlight away from, well, their toxic behavior and put it squarely on your mental health history. It's really quite insidious. They turn your vulnerability into their ammunition. And as a clinician, I want to give you a very clear framework to distinguish between healthy emotional intelligence and coercive control, disguised as healing. So, when you are under the same roof with a master manipulator, you have to stop listening to their words and start analyzing the structure of their interaction. So, here are some examples. Healthy boundary focuses on the self. For example, I need to step away to calm down. That's healthy. A coercive boundary focuses on controlling you. Your tone is toxic. You need to stop. That's not healthy. That's coercive. A healthy boundary aims for mutual safety, connection, resolution. A coercive boundary aims to evade accountability and shut down the conflict. A healthy boundary allows room for both partners' realities and feelings. A coercive boundary monopolizes the narrative using pseudo clinical authority. When a manipulator adopts this language, they create an uneven playing field because they are using enlightened terms. Your empathy is being weaponized against you. You think to yourself, they talk so much about healing, they go to therapy, they read the books. Am I the toxic one? I must be the toxic one. Now, this is a profound, dizzying level of gaslighting because it makes you doubt your own sanity. So, how do you handle a manipulator who has a PhD in therapy jargon? First, as an advanced clinical hypnotherapist, I tell my clients all the time you must break the trance of their vocabulary. Words have power. Strip away the clinical words and look purely at the actions. Look at those behaviors, the patterns. If the underlying action results in you being isolated, silenced, invalidated, diminished, and constantly apologizing for things you didn't do, it doesn't matter how many therapy terms they wrap into it. It is control. And second, stop defending your mental health history to them. If they say, you were just triggered because of your past, your response should be a calm, flat, my past is not on the table right now. Your behavior is, and you leave it at that. Do not take the bait. Do not let them turn a conversation about their actions into a therapy session about your wounds. If you are experiencing this, the first step to reclaiming your sanity is to trust your gut over their vocabulary. If you are ready to stop just surviving and start truly clearing the somatic and psychological aftermath of this kind of abuse, this is exactly the work I do. In my practice, we combine deep clinical strategy, EMDR to clear the trauma tracking in your body, and advanced clinical hypnotherapy to rewire the subconscious patterns that keep you bonded to these individuals. Please click the link in the description below to get more information. Before you go, let me know in the comments what therapy phrases an emotional abuser, an emotional manipulator has used against you. I'd love to hear them. Let's expose the script together. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.